Electricians sometimes face situations where inspectors impose requirements not explicitly found in the National Electrical Code, or NEC. Here are some examples of these situations. In one area, an inspector mandated that all electrical outlets be installed with the ground pin facing up, essentially upside down. The electrician contested this, pointing out it was both unnecessary and potentially confusing, or even creating a false sense of security for users accustomed to the standard orientation. However, the inspector was resolute, and the electrician had to comply to pass the inspection. In another instance, an inspector insisted that all light switches be installed on the ceiling. The electrician argued that this was impractical and inconvenient, making it difficult for occupants to operate the lights. Despite the electrician's objections, the inspector remained firm, leading to the unconventional placement of the light switches to satisfy the inspection requirements. In another town, an inspector required all electrical wiring to be run through PVC conduit, regardless of their application or location. The electrician explained that this was an added expense and unnecessary in many situations, while other wiring methods were acceptable and compliant with the NEC. However, the inspector was unyielding, forcing the electrician to use PVC conduit throughout the entire installation. The National Electrical Code, or NEC, is a comprehensive set of guidelines for electrical installations. Inspectors are tasked with ensuring that installations meet these safety standards. However, interpretations of the code can vary, and sometimes inspectors may impose requirements that go beyond the literal wording of the NEC. This can lead to disagreements and challenges for electricians. It's important to remember that while inspectors have the authority to enforce electrical codes, they should also be reasonable and willing to consider alternative solutions that meet the intent of the code. Electricians have to navigate these situations carefully, balancing compliance with the inspector's demands and ensuring the practicality and cost-effectiveness of the installation. When disagreements arise, it can be helpful to engage in open communication with the inspector, providing documentation or explanations to support alternative approaches. In some cases, seeking clarification from a higher authority, such as a local electrical board or a qualified electrical engineer, may be necessary to resolve the issue. Ultimately, the goal is to ensure a safe and compliant electrical installation while also minimizing unnecessary costs and inconveniences. Navigating these situations requires a thorough understanding of the NEC, strong communication skills, and the ability to advocate for reasonable solutions. While inspectors play a vital role in ensuring electrical safety, it's also important for them to be open to considering alternative approaches that meet the code's intent without imposing unnecessary burdens. This collaborative approach helps to promote both safety and efficiency in electrical installations. Here are some additional considerations when dealing with unusual inspection demands. Firstly, document everything. Keep detailed records of all communication with the inspector, including dates, times, and specific requirements. This documentation can be valuable if you need to appeal the inspector's decision or seek clarification from a higher authority. Secondly, know your rights. Understand the electrical codes and regulations in your area, and be prepared to cite specific code sections that support your position. If the inspector's requirement is not explicitly stated in the code, politely challenge the demand and ask for clarification. Thirdly, seek a second opinion. If you disagree with the inspector's interpretation of the code, consult with another qualified electrician, electrical engineer, or a local electrical board. A second opinion can provide valuable support for your position and help you navigate the situation. Fourthly, explore alternative solutions. If the inspector is unwilling to budge on a particular requirement, try to find alternative solutions that meet the intent of the code while also addressing the inspector's concerns. This may involve using different materials, changing the installation method, or providing additional safety measures. Fifthly, escalate the issue if necessary. If you have exhausted all other options and you believe the inspector's demands are unreasonable or unjustified, you may need to escalate the issue to a higher authority. This could involve filing a complaint with the local building department or seeking legal advice. Sixthly, maintain professionalism. Throughout the process, it's important to remain professional and respectful, even when you disagree with the inspector. Avoid getting into arguments or becoming confrontational. Instead, focus on presenting your case in a clear, concise, and objective manner. Seventhly, understand the inspector's perspective. While it's important to advocate for your position, it's also helpful to understand the inspector's perspective. Inspectors are responsible for ensuring the safety of electrical installations, and they may have legitimate concerns that need to be addressed. By understanding their concerns, you can better tailor your arguments and find solutions that satisfy both parties. Eighthly, prioritize safety. Ultimately, the most important thing is to ensure the safety of the electrical installation. Even if you disagree with the inspector's demands, never compromise on safety. If the inspector's requirement is related to safety, it's important to comply, even if it means incurring additional costs or inconveniences. Ninthly, learn from the experience. Every encounter with an inspector is an opportunity to learn and improve your understanding of electrical codes and regulations. Take the time to review the code sections that were in question and reflect on how you could have handled the situation differently. Tenthly, build relationships. Building positive relationships with local inspectors can make the inspection process smoother and more efficient. Attend industry events, participate in training programs, and get to know the inspectors in your area. This can help to foster mutual respect and understanding, which can be beneficial when disagreements arise. Inspectors may also have specific requirements based on local amendments to the NEC or interpretations specific to their jurisdiction. It's important to be aware of these local variations and to comply with them, even if they differ from the standard NEC requirements. The electrical industry is constantly evolving, with new technologies and regulations being introduced regularly. Staying up to date on these changes is essential for electricians to ensure they are providing safe and compliant installations. Attending continuing education courses, reading industry publications, and participating in professional organizations can help electricians stay informed and maintain their expertise. Here's an example of an electrical inspector requiring a specific type of wire insulation. The NEC typically allows for various types of wire insulation depending on the application and environment. However, an inspector might insist on a particular brand or type of insulation, even if others are code compliant, perhaps due to perceived superior performance or previous issues encountered with alternative products. This can lead to added costs if the specified insulation is more expensive or harder to source. In another example, consider surge protection. While the NEC has requirements for surge protection in certain applications, an inspector might go beyond the code and require whole-house surge protection for all new installations regardless of the specific circumstances. This can be a significant added expense for homeowners, but the inspector might justify it based on concerns about protecting sensitive electronic equipment from power surges. Regarding grounding electrode systems, the NEC specifies acceptable methods for grounding, such as ground rods, metal water pipes, and concrete encased electrodes, also known as UFERs. However, an inspector might require multiple grounding electrodes, even if a single electrode meets the code requirements, citing concerns about soil resistivity or the effectiveness of the grounding system. This can involve driving additional ground rods or adding other grounding elements, which can increase the cost and complexity of the installation. Electrical inspectors are essential for ensuring safety, but their decisions should be based on the NEC and sound engineering principles. When faced with unusual demands, electricians should engage in open communication, seek clarification, and be prepared to advocate for reasonable solutions that meet the intent of the code. Remember to always prioritize safety and compliance while striving for efficient and cost-effective electrical installations.